Unit 4, Lesson 1, Boom or Bust. Lesson objective. Students will be able to analyze why the stock market crashed in 1929 and what conditions led to it. Our essential question for the day, what conditions led to the stock market crash? What are some reasons why banks began to close? Unit 4, Lesson 1, Vocabulary. A review of the timeline of the Roaring Twenties that we covered before break. The Roaring Twenties could be classified by a few different categories. One was when America shut itself off from the world and became an isolationist country, condemning un-American activities and closing the immigration gate, choosing instead to focus on homegrown prosperity out of fear of the past in World War I. And the Roaring Twenties can also be classified by the Booming Twenties, where there was an increase in real income and living standards for most Americans. With new consumerism and technology and entertainment available like never before. This helped hide the dangers that America's future held. Culture wars of the 1920s also had a religious viewpoint, where fundamentalism, or the literal view of the Bible and creationism, attacked urban lifestyle and culture, and revivalists like Billy Sunday and Aimee Semple McPherson's followers and followings grew larger by the year. Modernism, which was a liberal view of religion and preached acceptance and coordination of science within the context and with their faith. Both of these views, modernism and fundamentalism, came together in the Scopes monkey trial of 1925, which pitted a law in Tennessee against teaching evolution at a public school and a school teacher who taught evolution and Charles Darwin's theories of evolution to his students in his science class. On Scopes' side, he had famous lawyer and author Clarence Darrow, and on the school district's side, the side of creationism, the side of fundamentalism, they had Williams Jennings Bryan. The American consumer society most aptly be defined as a welfare capitalistic society in the 1920s, where the theory was there's real income increases and higher pay rates for owners, managers, and skilled laborers, but very minimal increases in the pay rates for unskilled laborers and the working class. There were insurance benefits offered and profit sharing incentives, as well as an increase in worker safety, but simultaneously there was a decrease in the influence of labor unions and a decrease in the registration of workers in labor unions. This ran concurrently with the mass production of a wide variety of products. And this wide variety of products were available at affordable prices for the consumer. With the invention of the assembly line by the Ford Motor Company, while they mass produced their Model T automobile and other domestic appliances of the Industrial Revolution era, there began a slogan of no money, no problem. Installment plans became a fact of life. And the impact of the automobile on consumer shopping and consumer habits was tremendous. Now, individual citizens could go to other places to shop, could go to other cities and other towns with much more ease than a horse-drawn carriage or by horseback. Changes to the 1920s women. The flapper girl, a young woman of the jazz age, characterized by short hair, short hemlines, cosmetics, and cigarettes. This was against the traditionalist view of women. Women began being employed as clerical workers, as teachers, as nurses, or domestic servants. They were often paid lower wages than men, and not many served in management positions, but it was amongst the first times in history that women were working outside of the home. Famous or prominent women like Margaret Sanger, who established the American Birth Control League and Planned Parenthood, which provided resources to women nationwide and is still in existence today. Suffrage is the right to vote in political elections. During the suffrage movement, women sought the right to vote. Suffragette is women seeking the right to vote through organized protest. Protests were organized nationally as women sought institutional changes in the American political system. Suffragists wore white, symbolizing purity. White was associated with youth, virginity, and moral virtue. White suggested that women could be expected to vote for politicians and policies that would better society and not just themselves. This growth of mass culture with the innovations in entertainment. On the radio, broadcasting took over the airways. This connected America via mass culture, mass marketing, sports, news, the symphonies. Americans could now be at a ball game in Yankee Stadium from their home in Brooklyn, or listen to a news broadcast from the Great Plains about events that are taking place across the nation live. Movies, and amongst the first movies, were revolutionary. The Great Train Robbery and Birth of a Nation, the KKK propaganda film that was shown in the White House in 1915, and the first talkie or talking movie with sound called The Jazz Singer. Movie houses were called Nickelodeons because admission was only a nickel. Movies were also used as propaganda. To close up our review, we'll focus on the dichotomy of the 1920s, where excitement and prosperity on one side faced off against the fear and struggles on the other side. The excitement and prosperity was prevalent in middle and upper class society, especially with white Protestants, while the fear and struggling was prevalent for minorities and poor, especially for farmers who were hard hit during the 1920s and into the 1930s. Review of the visual summary of the Roaring Twenties, which was a time of great cultural upheaval.